When someone recommended I do this video comparing these two cameras, I thought, why would I do that? The images are probably going to look identical. But then I went out and I started to get some side-by-side shots. And then when I came home and looked at them side by side, I noticed a subtle difference, especially in the 4 S's: the sun, the saturation, the skin tones, and the skies. For example, look at the shot that I got of the sunrise with both the iPhone 16 Pro and the iPhone 15 Pro. Maybe at first glance, you think they look pretty similar, but look closer at the saturation. The shot on the left leans more towards a sherbet palette with lighter and softer colors and lower saturation. And in contrast, look at the shot on the right. It has deeper reds and higher saturation, which results in more of a vivid and dramatic representation of the sunrise. Both phone cameras were exposed exactly the same. I was using the native camera apps within the phones, and I did 0 post-processing on either of these clips. Or take a look at the shot of the sky. One of these two cameras tends to have a darker blue compared to a lighter blue sky. You can even see a bigger difference when we scale in and we crop back and forth like this. But even better yet, if I was to go into Photoshop and grab the color of one of these skies and then draw on the other, you'll be able to see the difference. How about this shot, where I set up both cameras to capture a talking head shot indoors? I switched both cameras to cinematic mode, and you can see that the one on the left has a sharper focus with more details in the skin tones and a more realistic texture. But the one on the right is softer and kind of a dreamy look. The skin looks smoother, like someone used a filter or something, which in my opinion doesn't have a very realistic look. Or finally, this sun shot. This shot on the left, the sun's got a softer kind of pale yellow glow to it. It's almost like a hazy morning when you pair it with the sky color. But on the right, the sun is popping. It's much brighter and has a more intense yellow. It's almost bordering on orange. It definitely grabs your attention more. All of these variations are very interesting, and it's something that I think people would like to know about before they make a decision on which one of these two cameras they should purchase. This video is going to drill down on those not so obvious differences along with the more noticeable differences and compare both cameras so that you know which one is right for you. This review is not sponsored by Apple. I bought the iPhone 16 Pro and the iPhone 15 Pro with my own money. This video is not sponsored by anyone. Also, I've left links to free project files from both of these cameras in the description in case you'd like to play around with some of my footage and see if your rigs can handle the footage from either of these cameras. This way you can look at both cameras' footage without any YouTube compression. Please tell me which one of these two cameras' colors you like better and why. And that's what the game plan is today on the Film Alliance. The iPhone 16 Pro has been taking a lot of heat lately because people say it's not much of an upgrade to the 15 Pro, but I'm here to tell you I'm not so sure about that. Before we get into the differences in image quality and color science, let's talk about the noticeable differences like pricing, design, and usability. I got a ton of comparison shots with both of these cameras, and I'll just feed them throughout this comparison so that you can kind of look at them as I talk about all this other stuff. Also, like I mentioned, this video is not sponsored at all, so if you'd like to support the channel, you could use my affiliate links in the description, or you could purchase some Fuji-inspired LUTs that I created for both of these phones. I'll leave links to those LUTs in the description. The pricing is where we are going to start out. The iPhone 16 Pro starts at $999 US, and that's for the 128GB version. And as of the time of recording this video, you can pick up a new 15 Pro for about $899 US. But if you want to save some money and pick up a refurbished iPhone 15 Pro, you're looking at about $500 to $600 US. I haven't found any used 16 Pros as of yet. If you're new here, nice to meet you. My name's Joe. I cover camera comparisons and reviews, and if you like videos like this one, make sure to join the Film Alliance by subscribing. Off the bat, you can see that the iPhone 16 Pro has a bigger display at 6.3 inches compared to the 15 Pro, which has a display of 6.1 inches. It's not a major difference, but it's one that you might need to take into consideration. Especially if you're hand-holding both of these cameras, it's going to be more difficult for your thumb to reach across the display on the 16 Pro if you have smaller hands. If you're used to using the 15 Pro, then be careful jumping over to the 16 Pro because it is heavier, which means it may slip out of your hand easier. It happened to me a couple of times. Thankfully, I bought a case for it. Apple does claim that the glass on the 16 Pro has a stronger ceramic shield than the 15 Pro, which means it'll be less susceptible of getting scratches and cracks. In my opinion, the iPhone 15 Pro has tons of scratches on the glass, but that's because I didn't get a screen protector for it. It was hard to get a side-by-side shot of both of these cameras while I was making this video, and that's where I really started to notice all of the scratches on the glass of the 15 Pro. I hope it doesn't happen to the 16 Pro. A big difference on the 16 Pro is we have a camera control button on the side. Right now, I have it set up to exposure compensation, but you can customize it to zoom or digital blur or switch between your cameras, and there's a few other ones as well. Both cameras do have overheating issues, especially when you're shooting an Apple log for extended periods of time. I thought Apple fixed that issue with the 16 Pro, but it still gets pretty hot, especially when you're outdoors and it's sunny outside and you're shooting an Apple log. It happened to me a few times with the 16 Pro and plenty of times with the 15 Pro. I did, however, notice that the 16 Pro did last quite a bit longer as far as battery life compared to the 15 Pro, which is kind of nice, especially if you're doing longer shoots. The ultra-wide camera on the 16 Pro is 48 megapixels compared to 12 megapixels on the iPhone 15 Pro, which I found extremely helpful for doing macro shots. Also, take a look at the wide shots with both cameras. Do you notice any more warping on the outsides of the frame on the iPhone 15 Pro compared to the 16 Pro? I didn't notice much, but once I started to zoom in, I could actually see a subtle difference there as well. The telephoto lens on the 16 Pro is set at 5 times, whereas the 15 Pro has it set at 3 times. The big difference when it comes to video is that the 16 Pro can shoot in 4K up to 120 frames per second, whereas the 15 Pro can only shoot in 4K up to 60 frames per second. The iPhone 15 Pro can shoot in 120 frames per second, but in a resolution of 1080. So you can let me know from looking at these two shots if you could really notice that much of a difference. The iPhone 16 Pro has a new microphone, which is supposed to sound like what you would get in a high quality mic in a studio setting. So let's take a listen and see if you can hear a big difference.
This is the iPhone 16 Pro. We're testing it out against the iPhone 15 Pro vlog style setup. The 3 things that I'm going to look for while I'm doing this shot is the stabilization on the phone itself, the skin tones compared to the iPhone 15 Pro, and also the sky colors. I'm doing a vlog shot with the iPhone 15 Pro. We're going to listen to the audio. I got some heavy wind coming in from my right side, but I also want to check out the stabilization on the 15 Pro while I'm doing a vlog shot like this. I don't know what my framing looks like, but we're just going to test it out and then we'll see how the 16 Pro compares to it.
We're just doing an interior headshot with both cameras to see how they perform when I'm doing kind of a side-by-side shot like this. We're just doing an interior headshot with both cameras to see how they perform when I'm doing kind of a side-by-side shot like this. You can also isolate the sound with the 16 Pro in the video that you record, which gives you a lot more creative control with the 16 Pro when it comes to audio. I remember a video I did where I versed the ZV-E10 Mark II versus the A6700, and even though both of those cameras have the same exact sensor, I was shocked to see how different the images looked. I used the same lenses and exposed both cameras exactly the same. And it was from that video that I learned that even if the same manufacturer produces the same sensors for 2 different cameras, that doesn't guarantee identical image quality. There's a lot of play here: composition, image processing, and how both cameras expose the image. I've heard that the 16 series cameras seems to be a bit over sharpened over the 15 Pro, but as the comparisons started to come in and I was able to look and drill down on all of them, I started to think that the 15 Pro had a sharper look. And I also think the color science improved in the 16 Pro, but beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So you tell me which one you like better and why. I also noticed that the front-facing cameras on both of these phones had a subtle different look. Like I showed you in the beginning of the video, I tried cinematic mode with both cameras and there was a slight difference in not only the colors and the skies, but also those skin tones. It seemed like to me the 15 Pro's digital blur looked less realistic than the 16 Pro's. The stabilization in both cameras was about the same. I didn't notice much of a difference there. But when I turned on action mode, I had to make sure that my environment was lit properly, because if I didn't, both phones let me know almost simultaneously. When I did some backlit shots, I noticed that the colors started to really change up, including in the sky and the saturation of the greens. You can see the color difference, which really tells me something there's going on in the color reproduction process of both of these cameras once the light hits the sensor. Because the differences that I was getting in every single shot side by side was almost exactly the same. Usually the 15 Pro was more saturated than the 16 Pro, and the 15 Pro was more sharp. Also, to make sure that I was doing this comprehensive comparison, I underexposed both cameras by 2 stops to see if we would actually notice a big difference when you're using the internal settings in the native app to adjust the exposure. Both cameras were underexposed by -2, and like you've been seeing up until now, the iPhone 15 Pro has a more saturated look. The iPhone 16 Pro does not offer a dramatic upgrade over its predecessor. This does raise some questions. If you can snag an iPhone 15 Pro at a discounted price, does it actually make more sense than buying the 16 Pro? And for those of you who already have the 15 Pro, is it really worth upgrading to the new model? My answer to both of those questions is, what did you think about those comparisons? When you started to watch the comparisons in the beginning where I did camera A and camera B, which one of those 2 images did you like better? Did you like the more subtle, unsaturated, and unsharpened look of the 16 Pro? Or did you like that more clinical digital look that you get with the 15 Pro? I personally like the 16 Pro better. That's why I didn't return this camera, and I'm gonna swap the SIM cards pretty soon and probably just drop the 15 Pro in a drawer somewhere. Honestly, unless you're a 4K 120 video shooter or someone who needs great native audio, the iPhone 15 Pro still holds up incredibly well against the 16 Pro. You still get that premium Apple experience with a fast processor, a good size and bright display, a spectacular camera system, and you can shoot in Apple log. And while the 16 Pro can shoot in 4K up to 120, let's face it, most people aren't gonna shoot action movies, but the image quality and the color science is different. I would compare it to the Sony a6400 compared to something like a newer Sony camera like the Sony a6700. They have different looks even though they're made by the same manufacturer. Sure, the audio on the 16 Pro is a step up, but is it worth the extra cash to upgrade? Probably not. And I'm not a huge fan of that camera quick button on the side. I find it more annoying than helpful. So if you can find a 15 Pro at a good price, you'll be getting a fantastic phone that will serve you well when it comes to content creation. And if you have something before the iPhone 15 Pro and you want to jump into Apple log and also something with a bit better color science, then I would say go with the 16 Pro. I hope you enjoyed this video and let me know which camera you would like me to compare next. Thanks for watching. One of the most asked questions that I receive is which camera should I buy? I know that you want to make the right decision, and it's a big decision. You want to find the camera that best suits your needs and stays within your budget. Many of you know which camera might be for you, but you need some guidance pinpointing it and feeling confident in your decision. That's why I made this course. I want to put my camera experience and knowledge into a compact and easy to follow format. I jam-packed it with camera buying fundamentals that I guarantee you will carry through the rest of your camera journey. I base this entire course on all the things that I wish I had known or someone had told me when I first started out. From understanding different camera types and their features to matching them with your specific video and photography needs, this course covers it all. After finishing, I'm confident that you'll finally have clarity over every angle and aspect that you might consider when buying a camera. I'll guide you through my entire camera buying process, taking you 90% of the way there. That way you'll be well prepared to make your decision. This is essentially all the guidance that I would give my own brother if he asked me, hey Joe, which camera should I buy? Now I'm gonna share that insight with you.